Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to Guns N' Roses Central, and today we're doing another episode of Guns N' Roses True Story, continuing off with our Chinese Democracy documentary. So we've covered 1993 through 95, today we're talking about 1996, which was a very bad year if you were a Guns N' Roses fan. So the beginning of 1996, there were several bands performing and recording next to the studio where Guns N' Roses were rehearsing. And one of those bands was the Sex Pistols. So the Sex Pistols were on their reunion tour in 1996, and Pistols main man John Lydon claimed to have heard some folky nonsense emanating from the room next to him, only to discover it was actually Guns N' Roses and Axl hard at work. And there was also another person interviewed who said that we were recording in the studio next to Axl in 1996. They had been renting a studio for over a year at $3,000 per day and had not even pressed the record button yet. Axl would drive himself to the studio every night in a pickup truck with a camper shell. Nice guy though, in person very low key. Now at that time, Guns N' Roses didn't really have a proper replacement for Gilby Clarke, who had been fired in 1994. Instead, they were rehearsing with Axl's childhood friend Paul Tobias, or Paul Hughie as he's known by some people, and this created a lot of tension between Slash and Axl. Now Axl and Paul Tobias had written some stuff together before Guns N' Roses, including the song Back Off Bitch, which appeared on Use Your Illusion 1. So it appeared for the first 7 months or so of 1996. There wasn't a lot of rehearsing or activity on the Guns N' Roses front. In fact, Slash was touring with Chic in Japan, and Axl was distracted by his own personal problems. His mother had passed away in 1996, so he was dealing with that, and there was a lot of contractual stuff going on as well. So it wasn't until July of 1996 that Axl tried to lure Slash back to Guns N' Roses. So according to Slash's autobiography, Axl and Slash went to an Italian restaurant in Brentwood where they talked about the next steps on the upcoming album that Guns N' Roses were supposed to put out. So according to Slash's autobiography, he said, "One time Axl called me for a private meeting at his favorite Italian restaurant in Brentwood. As far as I can remember, the meeting was basically an attempt to coerce me into accepting the arrangement that he and his lawyers were pushing, but in a lot less heavy-handed manner." So here's an interview that Slash did in the summer of 1996, just before he's about to go back and play with Guns N' Roses for a number of rehearsals. He talks a bit about recently going out to dinner with Axl, which I'm probably assuming he's referring to the Italian restaurant. Here's what he had to say.
And then as far as Guns N' Roses is concerned, as of yesterday, we've actually, we've sort of concealed our contract. So we're in working order, as they say.
Yeah. Well, that's really good news. We'll talk.
Well, in contrast to everything that's been going out in the press, which I've been hearing a lot of, and it's like Guns is in the studio, or Guns is this, or Guns is that, or I'm hanging up by handcuffs in a hotel room. I mean, basically, we've all been working, and so now at this point, we're actually going to formate ourselves and get to work.
Have you actually got any new songs written or any ideas got together?
We have tons of songs between the three existing members, like Duff and Axl and I. We've got probably about 80 songs. We just haven't sat down and actually done it because there's been so much political crap going on. And I know kids don't want to know about it, but it does go on in this business, and sometimes you have to deal with it directly because there's no other way around it. And so, we finally, took the bull by the horns and just said, look, we don't want to fuck around anymore. Let's just do it. And so that's.
But are those politics coming from within the band or outside the band?
They come
both
from everywhere. They really do. Anybody that's young that's starting a band at this point, it's because when I first started, I don't know if anybody cares, but when I first started, people used to say, like, how do you get about doing all this stuff? I'm like, I don't know, it's no big deal. But when it comes down to it, eventually down the line, it becomes something that you weren't expecting, and it comes out of the blue. And it's just like, and you have to deal with it. If you're going to function as a working band, you have to, confront it and so on.
Awesome. And I know it's difficult for you to say, but if you could look in like a crystal ball and predict, when do you think Guns might actually get into the studio, and how do you think it's going to go from here?
Well, at this point, now that Axl and I are really civil, You know?
I'm very pleased to hear that.
No, we went out to dinner recently and had a bottle of wine together and like sat and talked about what we were interested in and so on and so forth. You know, more complicated, I guess, than it normally would be, but Axel's a very complicated guy. He does like to talk about this stuff. I like to just plug in and jam, and that's sort of the thing that's the difference between guitar players, is he's sort of a visionary. Sounds like Spinal Tap. And then I just like to play my guitar, but we did sit down a couple times and have a really good meeting. And so at this point I start rehearsal in a week and a half or so, and we just take it from there. That's the way I see it. If you were to talk to him, it would probably be like a little bit more, I don't know, planned out than that, but I'll just show up and we'll go from there. It'll work out though.
I'm sure.
So in the later part of 1996, Duff McKagan, Matt Sorum, Steve Jones, and John Taylor form a band called the Neurotic Outsiders, and they actually recorded an album in the later part of 96, and they do a couple shows. So Duff was on Howard Stern's show in late July of 1996, and the topic of Guns N' Roses came up. So it was around that time that Duff talks about going back to LA and rehearsing with Guns that they really did start rehearsals. So here's what he had to say.
Duff McKagan has put together a new group. He's not going to sit around and wait for Guns N' Roses the rest of his life. I mean, if it happens, it happens. You know, he's into it. That's his main concern.
And it's actually happening now. A general air of excitement. But,
yeah.
You know.
The relationship lasted longer than Guns N' Roses, actually, when you think about it. You know, I saw Slash the other day, and I was saying to him, what the hell's going on, you know? I mean, where's the next Guns N' Roses album? And, like, he didn't have an answer either. He was like, I'm working on some things, I got some surprises, and, you know, I was just like, hey, shut up. Come here. What are you talking about? Yeah, what's going on?
We're in writing new songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And Axel's into it?
Yeah, totally. And actually, today I was going to have to fly back right after this.
Oh, really?
We're going to start recording for this Jackie Chan movie, the next one.
Oh, I see.
Good Lord, Jackie Chan is making more movies.
Yeah, could somebody explain Jackie Chan to me? Does anybody recognize that this guy is a stunt man?
He's going to make 50 billion movies before anybody gets it.
You know what an insult that is to anybody who trains in acting? I mean, seriously, Jackie Chan?
So fast forward now to September 30th, 1996. Slash appears on the Howard Stern show, and the topic of a new Guns N' Roses album comes up. Here's what he has to say about it.
He's the guy that you would think would be.
Yeah.
He didn't need it. He was already out there.
Slash, what the hell's going on? Just clear this up for us real quick. Everyone who's a fan of Guns N' Roses, a great band. Is it really going to happen? I mean, it's ridiculous.
You know what? We're working on it.
You are?
You're in the studio.
I've been there for the last 3.5 weeks.
You have?
Yeah.
Where is this studio?
It's
in New York?
It's in L.A.
Oh, it's in L.A.
Yeah.
And there's a studio where you guys regularly get together?
Yeah.
And what happens? Nobody does anything? Everyone just kind of...
No, we all go there. Basically,
tell me what happens.
We get there at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And then we go to a local
bar,
something like that.
Yeah.
Around the corner, and about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we get working. We work till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So there is actual band work going on.
People talk about all kinds of stuff.
Right. You're making it sound like so much work to be a rock star, though.
No.
Just imagine that your day starts at 11 p.m.
I love that. Don't you love that?
My day starts at 10 a.m. and then Guns starts at 11 p.m.
Because it kind of reminds me of the Stones. You know, to me, I always think of Slash as like Keith Richards. He always wants to be working, wants to have the band going.
Yeah, he's cool. He wants to tour. He wants to do it all.
I drink a lot of these things.
What is that?
It's coffee.
Coffee?
This is amazing. He comes in here with iced coffee in the morning.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? You kind of remind me of like Keith Richards. You want to keep the band working. You're a sensible guy.
Listen.
You got something good going on. And Axl reminds me of like Mick Jagger. Like, you know, like he wants to go off and do something.
The solo thing.
Yeah. The best rock and roll line I ever heard was from Keith. And it was because Axl showed up late in Atlantic City.
Right.
And Keith went, you know, I slept in a chandelier last night, and I made it.
And I'm here.
And it was classic, you know, at the time, you know. And Axl really does try, but he's got his own.
What's going on with him? What does he do? Is he married? No, he's divorced from that girl.
No, I actually tell you the truth. We just got reacquainted, so it's been a.
You hadn't seen each other in a year or so?
It's been like 3 years.
3 years.
You really hadn't even laid eyes on him?
What's going on? Tell me the truth. What's really going on?
No, I was gone.
No, you weren't gone. He was gone.
No, he wasn't gone. He was in L.A.
Where were you?
I was out playing.
No, you were willing to get together with Guns N' Roses.
No, let's not get into all that.
Of course, man. I never understand when...
They won't get into it.
When somebody has a great band... You know what the odds of having a great band are?
And the way that band...
1,000,000,000 to 1.
took off.
Yeah, and Guns N' Roses is a popular band. People would buy a record if they put one
Yeah,
out.
but okay.
They would go see you on tour. It doesn't make sense.
All things considered, you know, bands have there's a lot of intricate little tiny things that are going on from
Interscene battles.
I would say emotional stuff between the members of the band, like in a family.
Like Axel's sick of looking at you and you're sick of looking at him?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say all that.
Really? But
No,
it's close.
but I mean,
But they were
if we have
conflict.
we have a conflict of interest.
Really? Well, you both into the same chick or something?
Conflict of interest, both in the same chick.
Yeah, I mean, what's the conflict of interest? What is the conflict of
Wait,
interest?
how does that work?
I don't know. What is it, a business conflict of interest?
No, it's just, you know, not like having a meeting of the mind sometimes.
Right.
On
like-
music?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Well, how could you not believe that? Every band has it.
No, you come in there, how does it usually work? You write the music, he writes the words?
No, if it was that simple, then we'd have sort of a job detail. No,
Right.
it never works that easily. It's a matter of sitting down with somebody that you love very much and like going, you know, let's try this, and he goes, yeah, it's a great idea, or
Yeah, let's be open to it.
But it doesn't always work that way.
Right, and
Sometimes he just says, no, that sucks, I don't want to do that.
then you go, hey man, that's not fair. That's like, I think it is good, and then you get into an argument.
And then you get into an argument.
So you got to...
So the same day that Slash went on Howard Stern, he was also interviewed by MTV News. So if you guys are wondering why was Slash on Howard Stern's show and why was he on MTV News, well, he had recently completed the soundtrack for a Quentin Tarantino movie called Curdled, so he was promoting that soundtrack as well as the film. So here's what he had to say to MTV News about the upcoming Guns N' Roses record.
Been back in Guns N' Roses for the last 3 weeks, so we're just writing stuff and reacquainting each other with each other.
How is Axel these days? Is he ready, you know, to come back? He's healthy, and he's ready.
No, he's fine. I mean, we really haven't gotten to the point. I mean, first things first is to do an album and finish that, and then the touring plans.
So looking at a lot of interviews that were done around that time, Slash gave an interview to Kerrang! In September of '96. It said, Slash enthuses about the new material Guns N' Roses have been writing. Apparently the band members are currently trading tapes amongst themselves before the actual recording session. It's amazing stuff, Slash says. And Slash even revealed in a chat that he did online in July of '96 that Axl is the rhythm guitar on his own songs for the time being, and around that time Axl was actually learning to play guitar. So according to Duff McKagan, he said for the last couple of years Axl has started to go, okay, I'm going to play guitar and actually learn what these notes are. It's an innocent guitar, not unlike Izzy, but Axl's got a lot more musically than Izzy ever did. And even Slash talked about returning to Guns N' Roses in the fall of '96. He said, that tripped me out when I first came back, says Slash. I figured, okay, that's where his focus has been, referring to Axl. I haven't really talked to him about it, to tell you the truth. I guess he's been sitting at home figuring out chords or something. Maybe he's been taking lessons. And according to Matt Sorum, who did an interview in September of '96, he said, right now, Axl's playing guitar, and it's like he's been playing that instrument for 10 years. So what exactly were those rehearsals like? Now, Slash gives his account in a documentary I'll post in a bit here, but Matt Sorum also talked about it in a 2001 interview he gave. He was asked what happened with Guns N' Roses. He said there was so much time going by. We ended the tour in the summer of '93. Me, Slash, Gilby, and Duff spent some time writing some new music, and Axl didn't like it. Then me and Slash went into the Snake Pit album, and all this political shit started happening. And years were going by, like 3 years, and I was just hanging out in Hollywood partying. Finally, me and Duff put out a band together called Neurotic Outsiders, and as soon as we did that, Axl called us back into the studio. So we started rehearsing with Guns. We'd show up every night, and Axl would come in at like midnight, and we rehearsed until 6 in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It was ridiculous. My drug use was getting out of control. Everyone was just trying to stay up because of the ridiculous hours. Then Slash didn't want to come down to rehearsal, and he and Axl were having some differences in musical direction. So here's the interview with Slash where he talks about what rehearsals were like in 1996 with Axl and the rest of the band.
When Guns tried to regroup, Slash and lead singer Axl Rose clashed bitterly over the direction of the band.
I mean, there's like 2 divisions of camp at that rehearsal, and you could tell it just wasn't going to work.
It was musical differences, and it was also professional differences. You know, I wanted to stay in the gutter, and he wanted to be Madonna.
When Axl added new musicians to the group, the situation became intolerable for Slash.
you know, that 11 days of rehearsal, of trying to work it out, playing with some other guitar players, having stuff forced on me. And it's just, I walked into this and I'm going, this isn't fun. You know, I'm not getting off on this, and we're not going to make a record that sounds like we are, and that's what the band was based on.
He always wanted Guns to work. This meant more to him than anything, this band. This was his life.
I woke up and I was suicidal one morning, literally. I went to dinner with Keith Richards. I just left rehearsal. And he goes, "You left?" And I said, "Yeah, man." And he goes, "You never leave." And I was like, no, you don't understand. I had to leave. This is it. And that's when I quit.
So in October of 1996, around October 16th or so, Slash did another chat online with fans, and he revealed that his and Axl's relationship was sort of at a standstill. And then 2 weeks later, Axl publicly announced that Slash had left Guns N' Roses. Here's the MTV News report from that sad day.
The continued participation of bassist Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum was provisional. Here's the story.
As far as the rest of the group was concerned, apparently, Guns N' Roses were back together and back in action.
Well, I've been back in Guns N' Roses for the last 3 weeks. So we're just writing stuff and reacquainting each other with each other.
But Axl's fax, addressed from Burning Hills, California, with what he bewilderingly calls a dive-in-and-find-the-monkey attitude, announces that unless the band gets its act together, at least by his lights, there will be no more Guns N' Roses tours, websites, videos, merchandise, or even a fan club. However, since Axl Rose owns the name Guns N' Roses, there will be a new Guns album out, with or without present personnel, next summer. 12 new album tracks minimum, plus 3 new B-sides for singles. The harshest part of Rose's missive, however, concerns Slash, whose guitar has been a key component of the classic Guns sound, but whose relationship with Axl has always been a bit strained, apparently, as the singer revealed after the group recorded its Use Your Illusion albums.
We don't really hang that much, but we call each other up on the phone to tell each other what we did. You know, we're best friends even though we have separate lives.
In his fax, Axl says Slash hasn't been musically involved in Guns N' Roses since April of 1994 and hasn't been a part of the band's business partnership since last December 31st. Rose then calls upon McKagan and Sorum to renounce what he calls the pseudo-studio musician work ethic. According to Guns N' Roses sources, Axl Rose wants the band's music to grow and evolve, and he felt Slash was committed to the group's old, now classic sound. In a statement to MTV News, Slash said, quote, "Axl and I have not been capable of seeing eye to eye on Guns N' Roses for some time. We recently tried to collaborate, but at this point, I'm no longer in the band. I'd like to think we could work together in the future if we were able to work out our differences."
Well, Slash's future plans are unclear at the moment, although it's believed he will continue with his many side projects.
So once Slash left Guns N' Roses plans kind of changed. So according to a press statement that Axl put out in August of 2002, he said the 1996 tracks are not something I would want to approach without Slash, because at the time there was only one person that I knew who could do riffs that certain way. That's the reason why that material got scrapped. Now, in December of 1996, Duff McKagan did his own fan chat online, and he revealed that I am in Guns N' Roses and everything is going to be as cool as far as I'm concerned. Guns is doing a record, so of course Matt and I will be in the studio for at least 3 to 4 weeks in February of 97. We have song titles, but no album title. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. We progress naturally. As far as the rumor that one person wants us to change, that's just not true. So that's kind of how things ended in 1996. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Let me know your thoughts. And were you guys following Guns N' Roses closely in 1996? Let me know in the comment section. And in our next episode, we'll be talking about 1997, including Axl working with Moby, and both Duff and Matt Sorum leaving the band. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit the like button as well, and be sure to share it as well with other people. Take care.